We're joined now from Washington by Republican Congressman Mike Coffman of Aurora, who broke with his party today to vote against the GOP plan to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Congressman, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Who are the winners and losers today?
Well, certainly, first of all, let me just talk about my concern. My concern was that with the change in the bill through the MacArthur Amendment, I was concerned about pre-existing conditions, and certainly tried to work with leadership on changes, but was not successful. You know, there are problems with the Affordable Care Act. I think that the health insurance exchanges are failing. You know, I think we need to do some Medicaid reform that's in here, but I also think that we need to preserve some of the consumer protections in the Affordable Care Act, and particularly pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, you've said that for quite a while now, that any plan to repeal and replace must protect people with pre-existing conditions. Conservative economists' estimates suggest that the money that is in this bill to do it won't even come close to meeting that promise. Yet you said today that it's 95% of the way they are on pre-existing conditions. How do you figure?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't say 95. I didn't make that statement, so I'm not sure 95% there. I think that, I mean, the problem is in the waiver that a state could get where there are no restrictions on insurance entities in terms of what they can do. And it's for that population that didn't maintain continuous health insurance. But I think that there ought to be some restrictions. There ought to be some caps on what an insurance company can charge. And there is a reinsurance pool that will help offset the cost. But I think additional regulation was needed.
I want to be clear. I misspoke there. You did not say 95%. You're correct. What you said was that that the bill would work except for a small percentage of people with pre-existing conditions. That's on me. So let me return to that question. Mm-hmm. If you look at the figures from the American Enterprise Institute, from conservative economists, it would suggest that the bill is not almost there and that there would only be a small percentage of people with pre-existing conditions who would still be in trouble. How do you figure that the gap has been closed?
Well, I think that, you know, certainly hope that there's going to be a lot of work on this bill in the Senate. It clearly is not a perfect bill by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't vote for it. But the fact is that we do have problems that we need to take care of. I mean, that again, these insurance exchanges are failing. I think we need the cost of the Medicaid system is dramatically rising. It needs to, we need to focus on better outcomes, but certainly controlling cost. And again, keeping some of the consumer protections in the Affordable Care Act, particularly pre-existing conditions.
President Trump spoke with you personally, trying to convince you to vote for his health care plan. How did President Trump take it when you told him that he didn't have your vote?
Well, actually, we had two calls from the president. I think the earlier call was I described to the president that there was a problem with a bill, that I was insisting on language to tighten it up concerning pre-existing conditions in the MacArthur Amendment. He certainly acknowledged that and certainly wanted to close. And I said, well, wait, Mr. President, I need this language for my vote. It's important to me. And so the president called me again today and, you know, essentially asked for me to vote for it again. And I said that I was not successful with leadership in getting that particular language in the bill that would tighten up those pre-existing conditions, those protections, and I couldn't vote for it. And I think he was gracious about that and understood that.
And lastly, Congressman, has the overwhelming amount of feedback that you have received from constituents who are concerned about the loss of health care changed your view on the subject?
Well, I certainly have gotten input from both sides of the equation, for and against various provisions of the Affordable Care Act. I don't think there's anybody who believes that all of it's working. I think what helped me, certainly during the in-person town hall, where I had a lot of follow-up meetings from people that expressed concerns, and was able to meet with them separately to say, okay, what are your concerns, such as a disabled child with her mother that was concerned about what might happen to the help that she gets under the Medicaid program. And so I've been following up with her. So you know, I think whenever you can associate real people to real problems, to put a face on something, I think it's of great value. And what was of great value too was, before I did the town hall, I did a lot of smaller group meetings, and particularly, you know, with community healthcare clinics, with hospitals, with different provider groups, with different patient advocacy groups suffering from various diseases, and as well as the disabled community. And I think all of that was very helpful.
Congressman Mike Coffman from Washington, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. You're headed back to the district. Safe travels.
Thank you very much.